right, thank you so much for joining us on another edition of the program Critical Lens. Today on the program, we get to x-ray the back and forth between the Rivers State sole administrator and the Nigerian Bar Association. We also get to x-ray what is happening when it comes to governance, from the local government to the traditional stool. Is it time for us to make adjustments in terms of how our democracy looks like? My name is Chimo Bin Zaramobi. Joining us today on the program is a senior advocate of Nigeria, Barr Kunle Edun. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon, Nigerians. It's a pleasure seeing you once again.
And let's get down to it. I mean, your Congress is coming up very, very soon, and it was supposed to happen in Port Harcourt, in Rivers State. But in the last couple of days, the NBA decided to move it to Enugu, citing the appointment of an administrator in Rivers State. Let's start off with the whole issue of appointing an administrator in the very first place, and then the concerns that the administrator has raised, especially with the money paid to the NBA.
Thank you very much. I think much has been said about the status of the administrator. Ibas is a military administrator. Is a sole administrator. It's not an elected governor of Rivers State. And you already know our position, the position of the NBA, that the NBA does not recognize the said sole administrator, because the entire provisions of Section 305 of the Constitution does not give effect to any appointment that will be different from the positions, the offices stated in the Constitution, which is every governor can only be ruled and administered by an elected governor of the state. And the elected governor of the state is similarly Fubara. Nigeria is practicing democracy. We do not recognize anything akin to military rule. So, it's my personal view that Rivers State right now is under military rule. There's no democracy. All the democratic structures in Rivers State have completely been demolished by the president and constitutionally also affirmed by the National Assembly. You heard about the voice vote. It's actually a shame that where the Constitution requires two-thirds majority, the National Assembly decided to do a voice vote. Even a primary one people will know that you cannot do a voice vote to count numbers. It's never possible. You understand? So that one is settled. So, with respect to sole administrator Ibas, we don't recognize him. The NBA doesn't recognize him. So, for him saying that 300 million was collected from by the NBA from the Rivers State government, thank God he didn't say that it was collected from him. It was from Fiazmilaya Fubara that on its own, you understand, as a city governor of Rivers State, decided to voluntarily donate this sum to the NBA, with a view to assisting the NBA to prepare for the AGC, the Nigeria Conference coming up in Port Harcourt in August. Of course, it has been moved to Enugu because of NBA has taken the stand that, look, we don't recognize the sole administrator, so for that purpose, it will not also bid us well if we also organize our conference there. So now, the sole administrator was not the person that gave the monies to NBA. The sole administrator is not known to law. You understand? And by the way, also, the monies that we are giving to NBA, the said 300 million naira, it was not tied to any condition. It was an assistance, part of the social corporate responsibility of the government of Rivers State. They make donations to NGOs, and NBA is also an NGO. NBA is there for the betterment of the society, so that we can have a sanitized society. And in the course of all this, if corporate bodies and governments decide to assist the NBA, there's nothing wrong with that. And that was what Governor Fubara did. And we accepted it. It was not tied to any that the hosting rights of the AGC would be Port Harcourt. For crying out loud, many other states have asked us to assist the NBA, even NBA branches in the organization of their activities. And they are welcome. So it's nothing new. Except that this time around, the sole administrator decided to dance in the public. You understand? We do not recognize him. We will not return a dime to him. When the governor of Rivers State that is known to law, returns, you understand, then we will deal with him. If he says the money should be returned, we will ask him, but it was a gift. If you are gifted something, an item or money, you return, it's a gift. You understand? Because you're not forced to give it out. And by the way, those monies were actually given to be used by the NBA to prepare for many things regarding the conference. And it's been long. And NBA has been preparing for the conference all this while. The conference holding body was actually frustrated by the event of the constitutional removal of Fubara. So, the Rivers State government, working in council with federal government and National Assembly, frustrated the conference from holding in Port Harcourt. So, the issue of refunding that money, certainly it may not fly. It may not fly. But I still believe that the NBA, being a responsible organization, we have branches in all the states of the federation. Also the River State, I think we have about 5 or 6 branches in River State. They also organize their own NBA activities. And NBA National always have costs to also assist them. So these funds can actually also be used towards assisting these branches because it has been donated to the NBA. And certainly if anybody is not pleased with that, let the person go to court.
The administrator Itiabas talked about the hosting rights. Does the NBA sell the hosting rights of its Congress?
We are surprised when we heard him talking about hosting rights, and it's very unfortunate that is why we are clamoring for. Look, if we are going to declare it a state of emergency, please, for crying out loud, we have civilians there. That's why we have long done away with all this military mentality, military jargons, because when a civilian talks, the way it talks is actually different from the way a military man will talk. A civilian will talk, you understand, take into consideration, you understand, the kind of words he uses and the dignity of his office. Now, let the ambassador come and show to the NBA any documentation, contracts with regards to that Rivers State was conferred the OC right for the annual general conference of NBA 2025. There's something like that. By the way, Rivers State is not the only sponsor. Many other organizations, even some other state governments that are willing, when they see that there are some of the activities of NBA, you understand, they are interested in it. On their own, they can just come and say, okay, we want to sponsor this. We welcome them. So it's not only River States. You understand? Organizations, institutions of government, they also sponsor. You understand? And sponsorship in this respect does not necessarily mean giving physical cash. They can say, okay, we provide this facility for you. You understand? We can, in terms of logistics, we want to assist you. All these are sponsorship items. You understand? So, NBA does not sell OC right. It has never happened. It will not happen. And it's strange that it's coming from somebody that, of course, it's not the governor of River State, so we are not surprised. So, NBA does not sell OC right. It has never happened. It will never happen.
All right, let's pan our attention a little bit away from that now and talk about local government autonomy. It is something that has, over the years, been spoken of repeatedly, but it appears that implementation is a problem. This administration, led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, seem to have made inroads, but we are experiencing lots of pushbacks from the governors. We have the local government, which is supposed to be close to the people, but when you look at what has happened over the years, the governors seem to have usurped the local government position, and the local government chairmen appear to be fully answerable to the governors. In fact, we are hearing talks of some governors refusing to take 50%. There's some kind of negotiation that is going on between governors and local government chairmen so as to allow them some level of autonomy when it comes to their resources. It begs the question that a traditional institution is one institution that is very close to the people, the kings or the monarchs, are living in their communities, they live within their areas, within their kingdom. Is it time that we start considering an alternative form of democracy, different from what we know already?
Thank you very much for bringing up that question. I must say that the way it is right now is that all the state governments, they have captured their various states. All the local governments, they have captured everything. Let's not beat about the bush. You understand? Local governments in all the states it is the state governors that actually determine what happened in those local governments in terms of who should be the chairman of local governments, the councillors. You understand? The monies that come to the local governments, what they do with the money. Yeah, it is the state governors that actually determine that. So the fact remains that the state governors, they have completely taken over all the local government administration system in Nigeria. Now, the implementation of the Supreme Court judgment has been very, very challenging. And I know, as a matter of fact, that the Attorney General of the Federation, working with the CBN, they try to see how allocations for the federal government, you understand, meant for the local governments, instead of going to the joint accounts of the state and local governments, rather should be paid into accounts opened for the various local governments at the CBN. Would you know that many of the local governments, they have refused, you understand, to furnish particulars that will account opening particulars for such accounts to be opened at CBN, because they have taken directives from their governors that they should not. And I'm hearing allegations here and there, because 2027 is coming. So if you notice that passion with which the federal government used in rushing to the Supreme Court, getting that very fantastic judgment, you understand, that passion, it's actually dying, if it has not really died completely, because of some people are alleging 2027 that there seems not to be some kind of push arrangements between the federal government and the state governors. You understand? Because the state governors, they are very powerful at the various states. You understand? They determine a lot of things because of the money power. You understand? And presidential elections will also be conducted at the various states. So you also need them. So it may be like, what may be happening now is like, okay, you pat my back, I pat your back. You understand? So that is why we are not really seeing any implementation. And you know what? It's most unfortunate. And that is why I want to agree with the view that, okay, if this local government system has failed, because in terms of Section 7 of the Constitution, which provides that every local government, you understand, must be autonomous in the way it administers its affairs, even in its own finances. Now, that has failed, most unfortunately. What do? We cannot just open our hands and just be looking at that. Look at that. Now, let's go to the traditional rulers. And I must tell you that I recall about some time ago, a few months ago, a first-class traditional ruler in Delta State actually opined this and said, look, we need to be made relevant by the state governments. Because right now, I can tell you, apart from those that are heavy in terms of funds, well connected, most of the traditional rulers are not even given their due respect. There's some traditional rulers that don't even have vehicles. They use their own vehicles. I'm telling you the truth. They buy their own vehicles. You understand? In terms of protocols, every other thing, they use their own funds. So the traditional system is not even adequately funded. So I agree with you. They are the closest to the grassroots. You understand? And if we are talking about governance should actually start from the grassroots. It should not be a top-down approach. It should be a bottom-up approach. And that's where we are missing it. If you check the system in the US, in the UK, and other civilized countries, you understand, where the people are actively involved, you understand, in the governance of their country, you understand, it is a bottom-up approach. You understand? But yeah, it's like everything must come from Abuja. Everything must come from Abuja. If it doesn't come, it must come from the state capital. No, the local government system should be in charge of what is actually happening to the people in terms of security, in terms of welfare. We know what we need more than the states, than even the federal government. And who are the custodians of the traditions and traditions that custom of the people? They are the traditional rulers. These are the natural rulers. And I think they need to be given some kind of constitutional recognition so that they can effectively play this role. But with a caveat that government itself does not start imposing their own candidates, you understand, to take over these tools. Because the way we play politics in this country is so terrible. The government wants to, like, merit no longer plays any role. You understand? Because with the rate of poverty in this country, many people are ready to move rubbish on the traditional system. So the question now is, the people, the religious leaders, the NGOs around that area, traditional community leaders, they need to come together and see how they can salvage the already bad situation we are in right now. You can see S-men everywhere. You are aware of what's happening at Uromi. You understand? It's so terrible. But security, the best security you can actually get is the security that actually your neighborhood, you understand, actually organizes.
Now, that brings me to the place of funding. If we are to constitutionally recognize the traditional schools, would you say that we need to start putting in some budgetary allocations for each kingdom? Because that is what it means.
Certainly. And I think, yes, certainly. The petroleum industry act make provisions for that, particularly for the oil-bearing communities. You understand, for some kind of funding allocations to be made to them. You understand, and for infrastructural development. We must do the same because, as a matter of fact, you know very well that the traditional rulers actually funded their salaries and allowance actually paid by the local governments. Funds going to the local government, but they are too meager. I am telling you the truth. They are very, very meager. So we need to make appropriate funding arrangement for the traditional rulers. Particularly, it may not be for all the traditional rulers, you understand. Particularly for the first-class traditional rulers, you understand, in the states. Then other minor chiefs can also be put on budget and be given statutory roles to play, you understand, in terms of security. Security is very, very important because the whole country, I don't know, nobody's safe again. In terms of security, because the police have been talking about community policing. It's a lie. It's a lie. The only police that I know is the vigilante that I have in my layout, which is not funded by any government. They're funded by the residents there. So that the traditional rulers can effectively, you understand, organize this community policing. So, and there are many other things again. We are talking about primary health care centers, things that the locals, you understand, we need to have a basic amenities so that they can live well. They don't demand much, like all the high-rise whatever we have in Abuja. No, they just want basic amenities. Traditional rulers are better positioned to do that because local government chairmen, they are stooges of the governor. Unfortunately, when money comes, you don't even see it. When was the last time, when was the last time you saw any projects be done within our, let me not mention local governments, within our vicinity here by any local government? It is a state that will construct a street road, not even a major street road. The drainage is still the state government. These were things that were being done by local government in those days. Markets, a state government, not even local government. This market, Iguru market there, was being run by local government in those days when I was a kid. You understand? Now the state government has taken over everything. That is why governance is far away from the people because the grassroots people are disconnected. It's so sad.
Well, you talked about the recognition of first-class monarch. You're saying possibly starting off with them and then gradually moving.
They are recognized, but they are not given their adequate recompense and dignity and status. Because if you are a first-class monarch, for example, there are security issues. There are issues that affect your kingdom. Your intervention should go beyond advisory. They should be given some kind of executive functions. You understand? This must. You understand? Mandatory executive functions. Because what they do now is just advisory. And of course, if you give me advice, I'm bound to accept or refuse the advice. That's what you can do about it.
Is it possible that if we or the nation, the constitution does recognize these traditional stools and empower them, is it possible that we are likely going to end up to where we're currently at when it comes to local government chairman?
It is possible, but if we don't try a new thing, you understand, we'll just be going round, and we will not move forward. So I'm not one of those persons that I'm always afraid of trying this. I will try it. You understand? If it doesn't work, then we'll look for another option because we must always be reinventing. You understand? The only thing that is permanent is just change. Do we like the present system? We don't like it. You understand? What is difficult in local governments running their own administration? What is difficult in it? But the state and the federal, they are dancing around with it. You understand? For crying out loud, if I want to contest, or you want to contest for the chairmanship of a particular local government, or as a councillor, why must I be a member of PDP, APC, or one of these political parties? Why can't I run on the basis of my own platform? I want to belong to any particular party. Why? But the way it is that you must belong to one of these heavy parties. You know why? It's part of the control system. It's part of the control system. I bet you the very day, you understand. In fact, the constitutional amendment process we have seen now, there were agitations for that, but I'm not aware. I don't know whether if it has been removed. I don't know if it has been removed, but if it has been removed, then that is very, very bad. It's not good at all. Because by the time you start seeing independent candidates coming out, I bet you most of these big shots, or what do you call them, godfathers, whatever, I bet you they will start realizing that their time is up. Power will now go back to the real people. Because imagine you in your locality, you know the real guys that can actually represent you. You know those that have actually done community service. You know those that the community recognize. That actually for the people. But before you know what, you're surprised that somebody that you never saw anytime has been recommended by somebody from Abuja to be the councillor for that area or the House of Assembly member. So tell me, to whom would that person pay allegiance to? Is it to you? The person doesn't know you. Let me just go to Asaba, go to Abuja and relax. When was the last time you heard of any town hall meeting being held by any of our House of Representatives or senators in Delta State here? Town hall meetings. We see it being regularly done in the US. I've never attended anyone. I've not even been invited because no notice was actually published. I don't know what they are doing. We don't know what they are doing. The children say, will call us, okay, another time for election. It's just a cycle. So until we go back to this local government system, because that is what will actually effect the necessary change we are talking about. Let us decongest Abuja. Let's decongest the states. Let's give power to the real people. You understand? So that it's like a school. You understand? Those that will emanate from the local government system, they are still the same people that will that go to the state and Abuja. By doing that, you now improve the quality of governance because these are your real representatives.
We want to say thank you so much, Barr Kunle Edun, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, for joining us today on Critical Lens to X-ray some of these very, very important issues. We sincerely appreciate your time.
Thank you. I mean, God bless this country. The country belongs to all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Atlantic TV, culturally inclined and uniquely different.